Right.
And there's three reasons why we like this sort of gun for clay breaking. The first of those three reasons is its weight. Considerably heavier than a side-by-side, but that's an advantage because weight and recoil are in direct proportion. In other words, the heavier the gun, the less punch you're going to feel in your shoulder. Say thank you, Reg.
Thank you, Reg.
Thanks, Red.
Second benefit, one trigger. Pull it once, let go, pull it again, and you fire both barrels. Much simpler than moving from one trigger to another as you would on a more traditional gun.
Right.
But the third and most important advantage is that when you've got the barrels in this shape, in this format, you've got a very distinctive sighting plane down the top of the gun. What we in the trade call pointability, what you will know has been able to see what the bloody hell you're doing. Guns like this are opened and closed by use of the top lever. You push the top lever over to the right, pull down, and that gives access to load and unload the gun. And behind that top lever is the safety catch. Now I'm just going to put the safety catch on, which means I can't fire the gun by pulling the trigger. But if that gun was loaded, and I dropped it or jolted it badly, it could still go off. Because the safety catch is blocking the trigger,
Right.
but it isn't blocking the firing pins.
Okay.
Because of that, we don't trust the safety catch.
Yeah.
And when I say we, it's not the royal we, it's the whole sport in general. None of us trust the safety catch, and because we don't trust it, we don't use it.
Yeah.
It stays off all the time, and we follow the safest procedure that there is. We don't load the gun till we're ready to shoot, so there's no walking around with loaded guns.
Right.
But all that gives us a slight downside, and the downside is that once you have loaded the gun, the trigger's live. So thank you very much, Mr. Browning. When you made this gun, you put us a lovely trigger guard on it so that you ain't going to catch the trigger accidentally. And it's really got to be a concerted effort to thread your finger inside the guard to get to the trigger. And the trigger guard's got a second use because it means that if you put all your fingers on this part here, which is what we call the pistol grip, put all your fingers on the pistol grip, you're backing up to the trigger guard, not to the actual trigger. And that needs to be the position of your hand whilst you do all your preparation work. And the very last thing you do before you call pull, which is your signal for me to release the target, the last thing you do before you call pull is bring your finger onto the trigger. So it's there for all your preparation work, onto the trigger to call pull. Everybody happy with that?
Yep.
Everybody can see the reason?
Yep.
Good. So obviously you're going to be holding the gun. When you hold the gun, two hands on the gun please, point the barrels into the ground, a yard in front of your feet, and even more important, a yard in front of my feet. I'll then load it for you. Your first job is to close it, which you do properly by lifting this part, the wood, the stock, the butt, whatever you want to call it, up to the barrels, so it stays
Pointing down.
pointing into the ground. That way, if anything goes wrong, all you're going to do is make a nasty hole in the grass, probably a very nasty mark on your underpants as well, but we'll not mention that. And I need to tell you at this stage that in 48 years of shooting, I've seen a gun go off on 4 occasions as it's been closed.
Right, okay.
On each occasion, there was absolutely no trauma, no worries, because it was pointing into the ground. But I can also tell you, on each occasion, the twits that did it have got their finger on the trigger.
Oh.
So that as they close the gun, bang.
Right.
Yeah, just another advert to keep your fingers behind the trigger guard.
Okay.
So now we've got this loaded gun pointing into the ground, the next job is to bring it into your shoulder. Little lesson in anatomy, that's your shoulder, that's your arm. If you shoot the gun from your arm, I can promise you 2 definite results. One is a bruise, and I'll be quite honest, I won't feel a thing. The other thing is you'll miss the target, and that does upset me. So you don't upset an old man or get a bruise. Here's how to get the gun into your shoulder every single time. You've closed the loaded gun. Keep that hand still, and with the other hand raise the barrels. Now we call that pivoting the gun, just because you've pivoted on that fixed point there, and the barrels have gone from pointing into the ground up to being level with your eyes, and that hand hasn't moved. That's pivoting the gun. Having pivoted it, push the whole thing away, slap it into your cheek, slide it back, and it can't possibly miss your shoulder. I'll do that again. Pivot to eye level, push away, slap, and bring back. Now, look what happens if I miss one of those movements out. There's the pivot, there's the push away, but this time I haven't brought it into my cheek. When it comes back, invariably it's on your arm, Bruceville. Not only that, when you come to put your head on the stock, your nose is resting on the comb, the recoil will split your nose, we get blood and snot all over the gun, and you'll miss the target. So here we are again. Close, pivot, push, slap, bring back. It's located your nose away from the gun, and it's located your eye directly in line with the barrel. Now, that's an awful lot of information in a very short space of time. The bits you remember, I'll count as a bonus.
Okay.
Bits you forget, I'll remind you of.
Okay.
Any questions?
Nope.
Bloody hell.
One question. I
Yeah,
did have
go
one
on.
question. The shot.
Yeah,
And I've always been curious about this. Is this a single shot or is it a scatter?
scatter.
It's a scatter. Okay.
Yeah, in each one of these, that's a 12 bore shell, and it gets the name 12 bore because if you take a solid ball of lead, perfectly solid spherical ball of lead, that will fit the barrel of the gun. 12 of them weighs a pound.
Oh, okay.
So a 20 bore, 20 balls that fit the gun would weigh a pound.
Okay.
So 20 bore is smaller than 12
12
bore,
bore,
so
okay. It's like wire gauge.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And in a 12 bore, the most general load of shot is 1 ounce of shot. And in an ounce of shot, in 28 grams or an ounce of shot, in what we're using here today, there's over 450 pellets. So in each one of these you've got 450 pellets. They're going to scatter into what we call a pattern. And that pattern, at the range we're shooting, will be something like 24, 25 inches wide.
Okay.
Yeah. What I'm getting to is that when you've missed with 450 pellets that spread 24 inches,
You've really missed.
you ain't just missed.
You really missed.
Yeah, you're a long way off. All right. So that's just to make you feel confident. Any other questions?
I'm good.
Right. These are special cartridges, as you can see. They're made for us. We designed this many years ago. It gives you the full power of a normal 12 bore shotgun, but it's very much reduced in its recoil, and it's very much reduced in its noise. And to get to that situation, you use a very, very unusual powder that burns very progressively. So in other words, it takes a little while to build up the pressure, because when you fire a normal shell, the flakes of gunpowder, for want of a better word, what they do is they burn and create a vast volume of gas, which then, so that's got to go somewhere. It can't go out of the back of the gun because of the breech, it can't go out the sides because of the barrels, so it's got to go up the barrel. And if you have a very progressive burning powder, it builds that pressure up gently, hence less recoil.
That's recoil, right.
Yeah, and a little bit less noise.
Yeah, the only time I ever fired it, I just remember that I went to Anfield playing the Army Training Centre when I was a kid at school. We fired at 303,
Yeah,
and that was probably the worst thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Because it was painful.
yeah, yeah. Well, you see, a 303, that's got a muzzle velocity of something like 1700 feet per second, right? Here we're talking a muzzle velocity of something about 1,050, which if you turn into miles per hour is something like 715 miles an hour. So what you're doing with a 303 is shoving a lump of lead a lot faster
And a lot further, right?
and a lot further. So of course you need a lot more power.
Yeah.
And you've got a rifle which, if it was a Lee Enfield, would weigh just over 8 pounds.
They had us lying down.
Yeah.
They had the fire from the prompt.
Which is even worse, because when you stood up, your body moves with the recoil. When you're anchored to the floor, your body is going to absorb all that recoil. But anyway, have you finished your tea?
I have,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? Grab your cartridges, grab your